Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave. You know, we've been on hiatus, taking a break because things have been, frankly, batshit crazy uh, in America. And we really didn't know what the hell to do. And we was just
And
sitting.
not for nothing, batshit crazy at my house. Don't even say Jesus Christ. Everything going, you know. And with that, you need problem solvers, Deb. And we have some problem solvers in government, at least, that we're going to be talking about. So, but
here's what we're going to talk about. We're
yeah,
going to talk about one of those how things work thing. And this is going to be the government edition because,
right,
you know, we are talking about the election. There's no getting away from that. I mean,
right,
you know, we are seriously full steam ahead with Kamala Harris here, and this
yes,
has been insane, and we want to keep it insane. We have momentum. We want to keep the momentum, and we still have the VP selection to go, and we still have the convention to go, so we can really make some headway here. Let's
now,
bury the scumbag before it's,
right.
before we get too far down the road.
The VP selection is just one piece of this whole thing. One of the reasons why we didn't want to do a show right away is we didn't want to focus on conjecture and all that nonsense. Okay, who it's going to be. Deb and I have our favorite because we believe that the person that we want, Tim Walz, is a problem solver, which is what Kamala is. So we'll see where we go, but she really doesn't have a toxic choice, quote unquote.
Right.
You know, all of them will be fine. There's reasons to pick and not to pick, one or the other or whatever. That's her choice. Then we're going to allow her to do her choice without, further ado with any comments about who it should be, who it shouldn't be, blah, blah, blah. As I said, I think everybody who's following this thing has their own favorite, and Waltz happens to be ours. But when this person is picked, next week we will probably do a feature show on that person.
Yep.
Just to show, the direction that Kamala and the VP seem to be going in. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about what is going on now. Now, we have people in MAGA land, such as Nicole Malliotakis, say, well, Joe Biden is missing in action. No, he's not, actually. He's doing his job.
He's not missing in action. He's just not on the campaign trail anymore, honey. So try to get a clue. But the man is technically in office until January, and he's clearly not being a lame duck president. So
not only that, he's setting the table for future policy when, not if, but when Kamala gets elected. Including but not limited to proposing changes to the Supreme Court. Accountability piece.
Did you hear Gorsuch's response to that?
Oh, what did Neil say?
Oh, he just told Biden to be careful. I don't know what that means, but what are they going to do? Cut off his Social Security?
Well, not for nothing. This is within the duties of the United States presidency, and what the Supreme Court has laid out is he can do whatever frick he wants now. Correct? So Neil Gorsuch can actually shut the fuck up because he said that.
What do you expect? Did he really expect people to just stand down and pretend that this is no big deal? Give me a break, okay? We're not all MAGA here, okay?
I'm not going to go into detail about what Biden is proposing and all of that. All I'm saying is he's proposing it. Here is the official White House statement on it. You can read it. Same thing.
What I do want to mention though is that part of the reform is a constitutional amendment to overturn the immunity ruling.
Right.
So that's a part of this as well. But the rest of it, you can read. It's term limits, it's that kind of stuff. And
That kind of, yeah,
some kind of oversight with, with, I don't know, some kind of ethics that can be
right.
enforceable ethics, not just,
Someone getting
myself.
censured or maybe even kicked off the bench for not recusing themselves in a case that they were supposed to recuse themselves from. So, and the second thing that people probably have heard of, Joe Biden and Kamala helped orchestrate an historic prisoner swap between Russia and it was like multiple countries were involved. A lot of people were involved. If you remember Paul Whelan, who, by the way, Donald Trump had a chance to help get released, and he didn't.
And by the way, so that whole Donald Trump grandstanding and saying that this would have happened sooner had he been handling it. Well,
right.
it didn't happen sooner because Paul Whelan, I believe, has been over there for 6 years at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. At least.
Donald Trump is once again full of shit.
Now, this was, I believe, 17 people. Now, I know there was a journalist.
It was the biggest since the Cold War.
Right.
That way. By the way, you have the article from Brennan?
I have it. I don't have it in here.
Okay, I'm going to put it in because it talks about diplomacy.
Right. Yep. But the point being, things are getting done, and this is actually very good for the country that Biden did what he did, because now he can focus on his job and not worry about campaigning as well.
And not worry about the stuff that he needs to do to make this country right without worrying about political ramifications.
Right.
When you're not running, things are different.
Right. Case in point with the Supreme Court reform.
Exactly.
So, and he's setting the table for Kamala, who, by the way, I'm not going to go down point for point, about her career or whatever, but I do want to mention a few things. One thing I want to mention, and this is a point I want to emphasize, that when Kamala was involved in California law enforcement, she wasn't just prosecuting people. She was implementing programs to try to change the system. And some of these people criticized. And when you are actually doing your job, you're not going to make everybody happy. It's just not going to happen. One of the things, she became part of a department at one point. It was a child services department that nobody wanted, and she helped create this anti-truancy program, which some people said was too harsh. But guess what? More kids went to school. Violence was down. Gang violence was down. All of that, which was correlated to partly to the program. So this article from San Francisco Gate, not 100% complimentary towards her, but it is a comprehensive list of some of the things that she did. And by the way, yes, she dated Willie Brown. So what?
Yeah, let me
okay,
make that
Willie
clear.
Brown.
She dated Willie Brown. She did not have an affair with Willie Brown. She dated Willie Brown. Okay.
Right. And by the way, Willie Brown also helped Gavin Newsom move up in the ranks. So let's slow our roll on that. So, again.
By the way, whatever Kamala has achieved, all of us in one way or another have had someone open the door somewhere along the way for us.
Of
My
course.
old boss opened the door for me when she resigned, when I was at Millipore. She recommended me for the job. We all have people who open the door, but you know what? Whatever we achieve on our own. We either make it or break it after that.
And when you read this article, if you read this article, you're going to see that Kamala Harris was seen as a different kind of prosecutor because she wasn't just looking at the cases, she was looking at what can we do to ease the burden on people, or what can we do to help solve the problems. All right. So that was her whole bit with she was a prosecuting attorney for 25 years, I believe. Then she became the DA for San Francisco, then the California AG. And then after that, and she became the California AG in part due to some of the programs that she implemented. Also, job training programs for people with minor offenses.
Right.
Okay. And what does she get for that? Oh, she's trying to put those guys with minor offenses in with the general population. No, that's not really what it was. But then you have Kamala Harris in the Senate. Okay. She, as Deb said, I believe it was last night, she was elected into Barbara Boxer's seat in 2017.
Yep.
Introduced over 100 pieces of legislation in the 4 years she was there.
Now, let me just say that in contrast, Jim Jordan, in 16 freaking years, hasn't introduced one bill.
Right.
Okay. Well, and what have other people done? Like what is
JD Vance done?
What has JD Vance done? What are the morons in the House doing? Besides trying to have waterways and $500 bills with Trump's picture on it and all kinds of nonsense, wasting the taxpayer money.
I thought this article was relatively interesting because I don't know how this isn't just like obvious. Harris brought prosecutorial approach during time in the Senate. Well, duh, she was a prosecutor. That's her experience. So of course she's going to do some of that. Now, what they did mention is
she made. All I know
exactly.
is she made what's his name cry, Brett Kavanaugh. That's all I care about.
Some of the things that she's well known for is the grilling of some of the candidates, or the Supreme Court justices appointed by Trump or whatever. There were other pieces of legislation that she had put in, like the anti-lynching bill. There was a bill increasing the penalties for revenge porn, that kind of thing. Okay. So, but she was extremely prolific, and not just for being prolific's sake. She put in a lot of legislation. Oh, here's one. Yeah, I remember this. In one exchange in 2019, she questioned William Barr, the nominee for Attorney General. She repeatedly asked whether anyone in the White House had pressured him to open criminal investigations into political enemies. And they said, asked or suggested, and they went toe to toe into the whole implication of the word suggested. But that's like, that's labor, or that's lawyer talk. Senator Martin Heinrich, Democrat from New Mexico, who served with Harris on the Senate Intelligence Committee, told reporters she was a consummate prosecutor in her questioning of witnesses. Even though Harris was a junior senator, Heinrich said she crafted pressing questions during hearings, such as one with, oh yeah, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. You know, she rattled Jeff Sessions and made him cry and clutch his pearls. So, but yeah, again, list of some of the legislation, environmental legislation. You can read this at your leisure, and then we have what has Kamala Harris accomplished as vice president. Now, the vice president is known for basically doing the things that the president asks them to do, but she goes a little above and beyond, and she does propose different programs and things of that nature. Sometimes she's listened to them. I thought this was very interesting. Immigration. She started a call to action was a public-private partnership, Central America Forward. The idea between Central America Forward is to support the creation of local jobs and measures in order to slow the flow of mass migration. So that program has generated more than $5.2 billion since its launch in 2021. Voting rights, forefront of the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We're pushing for that. Obviously, abortion is big with her, obviously. Harris visited a Planned Parenthood clinic on March 14th, a historic first for any president or vice president while in office. Now, given the climate, I'll pressure Biden a little bit. It's like every president should be going to a Planned Parenthood clinic. Every president and vice president should probably visit that right now to get more of an idea. Gun violence. Again, she was a prosecuting attorney. She prosecuted murderers. She also prosecuted child abusers and things of that nature. In September 2023, Biden established the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to reduce gun violence, overseen by Vice President Harris, as announced by the White House. So she oversaw that program, and still is. Maternal health. Introduced the Maternal Care Act and the Black Maternal Health Momnibus Act, which would direct multi-agency efforts to improve maternal health, particularly among racial and ethnic minority groups. Now, how many times do people have to tell you that minorities are at a disadvantage when it comes to things of this nature? Okay. Vice President's prior work on maternal and infant health care was a key component of the Build Back Better Act, passed in 2022. Okay. Broadband expansion, the bipartisan infrastructure law. So that was made possible by the Biden-Harris administration's Investing in America agenda and bipartisan infrastructure law. She wasn't just standing by and doing photo ops and that kind of thing. As a vice president, she was actually getting involved. So in 2021, President Biden declared Juneteenth a federal holiday, often referred to as the Second Independence Day. So Harris was a proud co-sponsor of that bill to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, which I'm not surprised at. And there we go. Okay. Here's an article, and Deb, I'm going to give this to you. I don't think I did. This is just kind of a tidbit, 55 things you need to know. Some of it's like, where she was born and all that kind of stuff. But some of it involves some of the programs that she implemented when she was in California, when she was in the law enforcement arm, and that kind of thing. Also, some of the things that she's been said, her friendship with Barack Obama. And by the way, in here, it's like one of the bottom ones. She doesn't like to be called the female Barack Obama. She's like, nope, I'm my own person. Now people are comparing her entrance into this race as very Barack Obama-ish. Like this is like superstar kind of electric energy, but she's her own person. Oh yeah. One of her signature accomplishments as Attorney General was creating Open Justice, an online platform to make criminal justice data available to the public. The data helped improve police accountability by collecting information on the number of deaths and injury of those in police custody. So there you go. In 2013, President Barack Obama was recorded referring to Harris as the best looking attorney general in the country. He later apologized after labeling the comment as sexist. Well, I've seen some of the attorney generals, especially some of the Republican ones. So yeah, I'm cool with it, as long as she's cool with it. Harris was rumored to be a potential Supreme Court nominee under the Obama administration, although she later said she wasn't interested in being as Supreme Court justice. During the campaign, Harris shied away from discussing specifics about her career as a prosecutor. By the way, there's some things you can't talk about, I'm sure. Some of the stuff is privileged information, or people have been asked not to talk about it, I'm sure. So, and one of the things too, people keep on mentioning is that yes, she left early in the presidential primary when she ran the last time, but that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything now. So
she assessed where she was going. She assessed what she had left for money. She made a decision.
Right. Her motto comes from her mom: you may be the first, but make sure you're not the last. Okay. If elected in November, she will be not only the first woman, but the first African American and first Asian American vice president in the history of the United States to become president. I mean,
So let's make that happen. It's time.
Yep. Now, before we go, I know Deb talked about this before last night in terms of DEI and oh, she's not qualified. She hasn't done anything. Biden hasn't done anything. Kamala hasn't done anything. Okay, well,
the people who haven't done anything are sitting on the other side of the aisle. They have spent 2 years of a majority wasting your taxpayer dollars. They've done jack shit for you as American citizens. They do nothing but stall and obstruct. They put the people's work aside so they could travel to New York and, make sure that the felon, Fatty McFellin, was happy. Okay, wearing suits, matching suits and ties.
Right.
Like little
that freaking, yeah.
I'm tired of all the freaking blather about this one does nothing, that one does nothing. The Republican side of the aisle has historically done nothing for the American people, not just in the recent past, but in the long history past.
So, Deb, I think this is kind of the consensus, by the way. I know this is from Washington Monthly. Well, what is
Washington
that?
Monthly is an all right magazine.
Yeah.
Washington Times, it's no good.
But Trump has assembled the worst cabinet in history.
No shit.
At least in our lifetime. I'm not talking about Andrew Jackson or, whatever, but you think about not only the people he put in, but think of this. Think of how many of those people are, have been convicted or, have criminal charges against them. And not only that, he had 44. Four of them, four have endorsed him for
Four
the
out of
office.
44 of his previous cabinet members. And let me just tell you something. For Donald Trump, your criminality and your low life status is the best to him, because that's exactly what he is. He's a criminal low life.
One of the and we've put this in as a source before. I didn't put it in, but take a look. You guys take a look, search for it. Katie Porter grills Ben Carson. Ben Carson was the director of HUD. She had to tell him what HUD was. He was the chair of the damn thing. He was that cabinet member. Betsy DeVos, Department of Education.
Whose sole reason was she was put in was to destroy the public education system.
Right. Oh yeah. Rex Tillerson, who by the way called Trump a fucking moron, which I thought was great. Rex Tillerson. Yeah, we had James Mattis. Okay.
Mad
Steve
Dog.
Mnuchin. I'm just,
Ryan
Commerce
Zink and Scott Pruitt, they both resigned.
right.
Disgrace. One guy was the Interior Secretary and the other guy was the EPA.
Right. Well, yeah, Scott Pruitt, and then we have what's his face? Ryan Zinke. Yeah. I'm just saying, plowed through 2 Homeland Security secretaries. You can read all of this.
Last 19 days, 9 days. How many days was he in?
Who?
Michael Flynn.
9, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh yeah. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao criticized for abusing her office to help her father's shipping business.
That's
Energy Secretary Rick Perry, credibly accused of doing improper favors for former campaign donors. And I understand he is not a cabinet member, but Louis DeJoy, who is using the United States Postal Service as his own little piggy bank for his own trucking company, and raising prices and reducing service so that his trucking company that he was directly involved in can profit from it. So what are we talking about here when we're talking about? I want to know what the definition of qualified is.
Oh, I can tell you.
I do. Just saying. So that's, guys, I know that one's relatively short, I'm pretty sure, but that's what we have. I didn't want to make it too long.
Yeah, we're gonna start shortening these so that we
Yeah.
get them smaller bites and easier for people to digest. Not doing so much in one video.
The bottom line was, people like, well, so many people are covering Kamala, and her history and whatever. I didn't want to do like a linear. In 2000, she was this, and then in 2002, she got this. There's different aspects of this. She is a problem solver. She deals with things not only on a case by case basis, but also in a systemic way. And that's what you want from a president. So I have absolutely no problem with the way this fell out. By the way, I will say this before we go. I still believe that Joe Biden is capable and can perform his duties. And even if he was elected, I don't know what would have happened, but Harris would have been there anyway. So Personally, I I I was disappointed that it went the way that it went in one way, but at the same time, it happened. Whatever needed to happen, this is what happened, and we move forward.
It's
You
good.
know, I haven't
It's
really heard
actually for the
anybody
best.
grousing about Biden. We needed this. Great. Let's move forward. And however Biden can help us in the future, once she's elected, great. Hell, hire him as an advisor if you want. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I did at one point suggest that she nominate him as Secretary of State, and a couple of people pointed out, Dave, I don't think that's a good idea because he has to travel all over the place. He's getting older.
No, he needs to retire
Yeah.
if he wants to retire. That's what he needs to do. But
Yeah.
if he wants to be an advisor, I'm good with that. He's perfectly capable. He's doing his job now. He's going to continue to do it. Nobody's going to take him out of the White House. They can have their little fever dreams about the 25th Amendment. They ought to worry about the big fat load that they have, carrying that albatross around that they managed to, stick themselves with because they couldn't stand up and do the right thing.
Yeah. Talking about the vice president, I don't know which article it was, but they were mentioning that now the Republicans are trying to find a way to get rid of Vance on the ticket.
Good luck. What are you
Good luck.
there?
He was nominated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? The RNC convention. That's why, we always said, listen, the convention hadn't happened yet. We still got a little bit of time, not much, but we got a little bit of time. So, now Trump nominated. It's not like, see, Trump's.
So tell me who's an improvement over JD Vance that he's got to pick from? Who the fuck's he going to put in there? Marjorie Taylor Greene? Who's the improvement?
Hell, they were talking about Tulsi, but it doesn't matter.
That's an improvement?
No. Well, I'm just saying, to them it is.
Well, I mean, God almighty, a rock would be an improvement to them.
Right. But the bottom line is,
why'd they just put Elmo? Just get a freaking Elmo stuffed animal and just run him. I mean, they have nobody to pick from. Carrie Lake?
Here's my VP candidate, or my new VP, Handy.
When they get lamb chop? Why don't we get that?
I'm Handy. Yeah, exactly.
They're useless.
Right. But here's what Donald Trump didn't count on. It's not like his cabinet. Like, you can't assign somebody and then 5 days later get rid of them. They didn't know. So he's stuck with Vance.
He probably doesn't want to, piss off the billionaires that bankrolled Vance either. So just think about that. His little buddies there.
Well, Thiel, I know who else was part of that whole thing. I know Peter Thiel was.
Peter Thiel probably was the biggest.
Yeah. But sorry, Donnie. Oh, and by the way, Donnie also doesn't always get his way when it comes to the debate or venues or any of that kind of nonsense. He's like, I'm not going to do it unless Fox does it. Oh, well, I guess we're not doing it.
Yeah, well, he has to run to Fox to make sure he's protected because he knows he doesn't have a prayer in the world in an open debate with Harris. So that's where we're going with that. And I don't know if anybody has seen the video of him talking. I forget where he was last night. He was blaming the school because the seats were almost empty because they wouldn't let other people in. They can easily have held another 1,000 people, but they wouldn't let them come in. We could have held at least 600 more people. You can bet I won't be giving anything to the school when I'm elected. All that usual whiny, sniveling, woe is me crap from Mr. freaking bloviating orange giant turd. I just can't stand the guy.
Not for nothing. I mean, maybe it was like fire codes and stuff like that.
Maybe
I don't know. Maybe
it was that he's even losing his own base. He has not been selling out his venues have not been full. They have not.
No, they haven't.
So, and people have been seen leaving early because he just can't shut the fuck up. He just
Right.
keeps talking and talking and talking and talking, and none of it makes any sense. None of it.
Well, I we do not we do not put credence in the polls. This is what's driving me a little crazy. I'm seeing, well, you know, Harris is still behind Trump in the polls. Okay, none of that crap matters. By the way, don't listen to any of that. I
Listen
can't
to
see
Harris
how she.
herself. All right. Listen to her. And she's telling people we're the underdogs. And that's the way we need to push. We
Right.
need to push, push, push. We do not sit back. We do not have any foregone conclusions. We need to get the vote out. We need to make sure it's a landslide victory. The bigger the distances between us and them, the less chance there is for them to contest any of this. That's what
Right.
we need to think about. Big
Now,
fucking numbers.
what date is the DNC primary?
Uh, you,
August
you mean the
20 something?
convention,
Yeah.
August 19th, I believe.
Okay.
She'll be on the road this week with her VP candidate. I believe the convention is the 19th. I looked it up yesterday.
Now, Deb, you said there was a little bit of movement and things were happening and people were,
So
leaving their assignments or whatever.
what I heard today was that Waltz was scheduled to be in New Hampshire tomorrow, I believe, for a fundraising thing. And
Okay.
he has been pulled out of that. And I don't know what the reason is for that. Nobody does, but that's been canceled. He's been replaced by another Democratic governor.
Okay.
And what else is going on in New Hampshire is that Joseph Kennedy Jr., the third, former congressman in Massachusetts, is hosting a barbecue for young voters in New
Okay.
Hampshire. So yeah,
Okay.
they replaced Waltz with a different Democratic. I forget what state the guy came from, but he's doing the fundraiser and the outreach in New Hampshire in
Right.
place of Waltz tomorrow.
By the way, guys, none of this means anything by itself.
Right.
It could mean that he's the guy. It could mean something else.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
So, I mean, what I will say is that everyone in the press that has been speaking about this, they have assumed that it's Josh Shapiro because he's going to meet with Harris in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, I think it was. But, and he's the governor of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Okay, so would I be okay with Shapiro? Yeah, I'd be okay with Shapiro.
August
But
19th, August 22nd in Chicago. That's the date. That's the convention.
okay. But that is when everything is set, everything is done, nothing else can change. That's it.
Yeah.
But Joe isn't coming back. Kamala's the nominee. She's going to pick her VP, and we'll go from there. I do believe that this is kind of a new era where Kamala's going to pick someone that she thinks can uh can carry on the legacy, I guess is the best way to put it. Not, oh, we need I don't see it just being, hey, we need, this particular state. It could, but I don't think there's certain people I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Mark Kelly. I think it's possible it could be Bashir. I think it's possible it could be Shapiro. And I think it's possible it could be Waltz.
Right.
But I think those are the three.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but if it is Kelly, it's Kelly. If it's whoever else, it's whoever else.
You know what? We just run with it. That's what we need to do. We need to
Right.
run with it.
You go with who it is. Now, as I said, when they pick whoever it is, I am going to do, like a background story on them and go from there.
Yep.
But not for nothing, I trust this team to vet and select the proper person. Don't forget Andy Beshear. He is the governor of Kentucky.
Yep.
And Kentucky is part of Appalachia.
Yep.
So could they go that route? Could they have Andy Beshear just skewer JD Vance on his bullshit? They could. I think it's going to be a little more than that now, but we'll see. We'll see. And once I know who it is, then I can start talking about, why I think she did it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, but guys, remember in Arizona, I believe the Cori Bush, Wesley Bell primary is this week. I believe it's Tuesday. I'm not sure. So just pay attention to that. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right, gang. Talk to you later. Have a good one.